All right, Algebra 2 students, welcome back to our lesson over Chapter 2.7. So the first part of this section, what we learned in our last lesson was how to solve these linear quadratic systems. So these systems that are made up of a quadratic and a linear equation. And last section, we learned how to solve them by graphing. So we graphed it, and then we found the intersections, and then those intersections were our answers. So this is just another tool for you to solve these linear quadratic systems. And this method, we're going to be solving by what's called substitution. So there's your learning target for the day. I can determine the real solutions of a linear quadratic system by using the substitution method. All right, so let's learn about this substitution method. So example 1 I have for you there, and you're given a system. So this top one is your quadratic because it has the x squared, and the bottom one is your linear. So there's your quadratic linear system, and we are going to solve for x and y this time. All right, so step 1, you're going to set the equations equal to each other. So I'm going to take the x squared plus 7x plus 10 and set it equal to 19x minus 22. So that's step 1, just set them equal to each other. Now we're going to get it in standard form. So standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So we're going to move this 19x over here by subtracting it. And then we'll move this 22 over by adding it. And now we have it in standard form equal to 0. All right, now we're ready to go ahead and dive in and solve for x. So we have two options here. So we've been working on solving these quadratics for x by two methods, factoring and the quadratic formula. It does not matter which one you choose. But remember, if it's not factorable, if you find you get an equation that you cannot factor, then you have to use the quadratic formula. So let me show you the factoring method. So factoring method, this is a trinomial where a is 1. So in this factoring method, you will take 32, and you're going to find the factors of 32 that add to negative 12. So in other words, what can multiply together to get 32, but you take those two numbers, add them, and you get negative 12. Well, that would be negative 4 and negative 8. So I have x minus 4, x minus 8. Why? Because negative 4 times negative 8 is positive 32, but negative 4 plus negative 8 is negative 12. And then that would be factored. And from then, we could just see that x minus 4 is 0 and x minus 8 is 0. So x equals 4 and x equals 8. And there we would have solved for x by the factoring method. All right, let me show you your other option. So your other option is the quadratic formula. So let's look at that, the quadratic formula. And we've been practicing this in our last couple lessons there. So how do you solve the quadratic formula? Well, you have to first find A is 1, B is negative 12, and then C is 32. And then you plug it into your formula, the formula that you should have memorized by now. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So what does that look like with our a, b, and c? It looks like negative 12 plus or minus square root negative 12 squared minus 4 times 1 times 32 all over 2 times 1. All right, substituted those into the quadratic formula. Now we're ready to simplify. So simplify the easy things first. So I know that a negative 12 is a positive 12. And I know that 2 times 1 is 2. Now I'm going to tackle my determinant here, or my discriminant here. So negative 12 squared is 144. And then negative 4 times 1 times 32 is negative 128. Subtract those. (144 minus 128 is 16. And then I know the square root of 16 is 4. So I have 12 plus or minus 4 over 2. And then I need to solve each case. So I'll do 12 plus 4 is 16. And then divide by 2 is 8. So x equals 8. And then I'll do 12 minus 4 is 8. Divide by 2 is 4. All right, so 2 options of solving, but notice you get the same answers, 4 and 8, 4 and 8. All right, so you don't have to do both of them, just pick one and go with it. So once you find the x, we're going to plug in those x values to find the y. So we have x, now we need to find y. So we're gonna go back and we're gonna grab our original linear equation. This one is our linear equation. So y equals 19x minus 22. Okay, now we're going to plug in our values for x into this equation, and that will give us what our y equals. So let's start with the 8 here. So I'm going to plug in 8 for x. And then I'll do 19 times 8 minus 22, and I'd get 130. So my first answer is, remember your ordered pair, x, y. We're going to write our answer as ordered pairs, so x comes first and then y. So x is 8, and then we just figured out that y is 130. So that's our first answer. Okay, let's do our second answer. So plug in 4 this time. 19 times 4 minus 22. 19 times 4 minus 22 is 54. So our ordered pair, write our x first, x is 4, and we just found out that y is 54. And then these would be your answers. All right, I'm going to give you another one for you to try on your own. So go ahead, pause the video, and try example 2 on your own. Use your success criteria to help you work through this. All right, let's see how you did. So the first step is to set them equal to each other. And then you're going to get it equal to 0 and in standard form. And then you can either factor or you can use the quadratic formula. So here's the factoring method. Okay, let me show you the quadratic formula method. You would find A, B, and C. And then plug it into your quadratic formula. And then simplify. As you can see, the quadratic formula takes a little bit longer than factoring. All right, so now I'm ready to simplify it down. -1 plus 5 is 4, so 4 divided by 2 is 2. And then -1 minus 5 is -6, divided by 2 is -3. So you could see you get the same answers, -3, 2, -3, 2, just two methods of solving. All right, remember, you don't have to do both methods, just choose one and go with it. Once you get your x's, you're ready to find y. So we're going to grab this linear equation from our original problem here, 2x plus 6, and then we're going to plug in our x values to find y. So y equals 2 times, let's do -3 plus 6. I just took the -3 and I plugged it into the x there. So that would be -6 plus 6 is 0. So our answer, we're going to write it as an ordered pair. Our x comes first, so x is -3, y is 0. All right, let's try the other one. So my next x value is 2, so I'm going to plug in 2 for x. And I get 10 for that. So the answer there would be 2, 10. So there are my two solutions. All right, that's all I have for you today.